Homolka headed straight for Niagara Falls and criminal lawyer George Walker. She told him her version of what happened to Tammy, Leslie, and Kristen.
Were you broadsided by what she said that day?
Basically, yeah. And, but not broadsided enough to figure out that I'd better get to somebody quick.
You thought she might be arrested quickly?
Certainly did.
So you had to make a move?
I had to make a move, and the quandary I wanted to make the right move.
Walker didn't even need to pick up the phone. Police were on his doorstep that same night, wanting to make a deal.
Guys? Okay. Back up, please.
After 9 months and $11 million, all they had against Bernardo was Homolka. But the community wanted an arrest, and Bernardo was picked up.
Your world stops for a second. You can't believe. I cried when they found Kristen. I cried with Leslie. And then to find out it was somebody that I knew and trusted.
Homolka wanted to avoid punishment and asked Walker to seek blanket immunity for her role in the crimes. Walker and the head of the Crown Law Office, Murray Siegel, started to bargain in local restaurants. Walker already knew the card he would play.
You believe she was abused from the beginning?
Yeah, I do.
And did you tell Murray Siegel that when you started negotiating, that it was a mitigating factor?
Yes.
You did?
I did.
So the two of you had discussed that prior to any psychiatrist confirming a diagnosis of this?
Yes.
Was there physical evidence beside the raccoon eyes that you saw that would...
Yes.
What was there?
And that,
And you had something besides her word?
yes.
Police had begun an intensive search of the couple's home. They discovered a profoundly disturbing 2-minute video. The man in charge of the investigation, Inspector Vince Bevan, was on the scene.
And my understanding of that tape is that in the scene with the woman that you believe to be Kristen French, Karla Homolka is enjoying herself.
Mm-hmm. Certainly gives that impression.
Having sex with an unconscious girl.
Mm-hmm.
And you thought that was Kristen French.
We thought that, well, we thought it could be.
But what you knew from that tape is that she was having sex with an unconscious girl and liking it. Didn't that shade your view of her enough to question going ahead with that first deal?
Did we want to do this, or did we need to do this? We were in a situation where we needed to do it.
A few days after the home movie was found, Walker and Homolka met. Notes from the meeting show Walker was concerned about witnesses coming forward to give examples of kinky sex, and we both felt that the beatings and abuse she suffered would only go so far. Shortly after that, Homolka was hospitalized for 7 weeks at Northwestern Hospital in Toronto. Dr. Hans Arndt was engaged by Walker to make a psychiatric assessment. Dr. Arndt concluded Homolka's experience since age 17 equaled that of a concentration camp survivor. A psychologist concluded that Homolka was herself a victim. To add weight to those assessments, Walker brought in a respected forensic psychiatrist, Dr. Andrew Malcolm.
This girl was convincing to me when I saw her. She gave me an outline of abuse going back for some 5 years, and she was extraordinarily convincing as she gave me this story.
What evidence did you have that there were other instances of battering? What corroboration did you have for that?
None at all.
She had been involved in the deaths of 3 people. Isn't someone in that circumstance going to be self-serving? Aren't they going to put the best shading on it that they can?
Oh, but of course, people are self-serving, and they want to make themselves look as good as they can. Although I've been fooled before, now, and I might have been fooled by Karla too, but I don't think so.
You don't?
No.
Is 4 hours enough time to have spent with her?
Sure it is. You can tell somebody is lying in a very few minutes.
Dr. Fred Berlin of Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore has reviewed the psychiatric reports and much of the other evidence in this case. He's concerned some of Homolka's stories weren't corroborated.
The Crown presumably believed that they needed Karla's evidence in order to get at Paul, and therefore wanted support for the idea of having her as a witness. as a psychiatrist, I have concerns that they supported that through psychiatric evidence that I feel is very lacking in credibility.
Walker and Siegel met over dinner at Auberge du Pommier in Toronto. With the psychiatric assessments completed, Homolka's deal was finalized. She would get 12 years, 10 each for French and Mahaffey to be served concurrently. She got just 2 years for Tammy and was never charged in her sister's death.
I don't know how you can put that in years. How do you put it in terms? It seemed like Tammy was like a clause or an extra throw-in just to make sure that wouldn't become an issue in future cases. And I just feel that that's so sad that someone who was loved by so many people has been so pushed under the carpet and been left behind.
When we return, we'll examine Homolka's role in the killings.
He wanted to keep her for longer, and I didn't want to. Like, I was going to work. I didn't want to go to work knowing that this girl was in my house and she could escape so easily, and I was afraid.
To this day, there are troubling questions about Karla Homolka's involvement in the death of her little sister, Tammy. Karla Homolka's motive for participating in the drugging, rape, and killing of her own flesh and blood might defy even the most exotic psychiatric diagnosis. Inexplicably, Tammy's body wasn't exhumed until 2 weeks after Karla Homolka's plea bargain and sentence had been sanctioned by a judge. Even so, through her autopsy report, Tammy Homolka would testify from the grave against her older sister. Tammy was just 15 years old when she died.
He talked about how he really liked her, how she was getting really cute, things like that at first. And I would say, yeah, she is, because she was a beautiful girl.
Tammy was becoming a rival for Bernardo's affections. Karla had told her lawyer, George Walker, about a pool party in 1990 when Bernardo and Tammy disappeared for hours. I was very angry because I looked foolish because everybody left the party before they got back. I was alone outside waiting, angry, drinking wine. She then admitted something she never admitted to police and would deny under oath, that she was a little bit jealous of Tammy. Karla claimed she was battered into the assault on Tammy, but she told her friends something more sinister.
This was her wedding present.
This was her way of saying, here's your virgin, Paul.
She did this to keep Paul to marry her?
That's what she told us
That's what she told us.
after.
The plan was for me to get sleeping pills. And so I picked the Halcyon. It seemed to have the least side effects, and death was not listed.
In fact, the compendium of pharmaceuticals Homolka reviewed is replete with warnings of potentially lethal outcomes when the drug is misused. In combination with alcohol, it may cause severe central nervous system depression. Tammy's dose was served in cocktails and combined with a powerful general anesthetic.
I don't remember who decided that we needed the halothane. I guess it would probably be me, knowing more about anesthetics and the fact that sleeping pills might not keep her completely asleep.
The CPS warns that non-clinical use of halothane, which she stole from the vet clinic where she worked, is dangerous. Nausea, vomiting, and cardiac arrest are among the adverse effects. Her lawyer's notes reveal she knew that what she was about to do was dangerous. That was another fact she denied under oath. But she did let slip to police that she'd covered her tracks.
What I did, this was my idea, not his, was to call the drugstore and tell them that I needed it for clinic use. The reason I told them for clinic use was because that way I didn't have to give a name. All I had to do was give a doctor's name.